Hello, everybody. It's Jake Senzino, host of Jake Gino podcast here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barber. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, you really want to know how I'm doing? Honestly, do you really want to know?
Sure.
Okay, I tried to get to know the guest a little bit better, but you shut me down and you hurt my feelings a little bit. And I didn't get a chance to actually meet Chris and get to know Chris a little bit more. And you shut me down. It hurt me a little bit. But on the flip side, you said I look good today. You like my shirt, so I'm conflicted right now.
Well, I'm going to volley back. I don't think your mic is fully plugged in or something because I'm getting the computer. So we'll work on that in the meantime. I'll introduce the guest, and Gino, I know you'll come back with that rich, deep opera voice in a second. So while we're getting there, today's guest is President and CEO of Klaus Multiparking America. He's got a deep expertise in automated parking. He partners with developers nationwide to deliver smart space-saving systems. So, without further ado, Christopher Tiessen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good. So, really just interested to hear like what Klaus Multiparking is. I looked it up a little bit before the show, have some ideas, but want to hear it from you, and then we'll take it from there.
Of course. So, Klaus Multiparking is a legacy company originating in Germany. We're a family-owned company. The company is almost 120 years old now. And we started in the 60s when the Munich Olympics were announced that the city of Munich had issues with parking and they needed more parking. So back then, our inventor, Klaus, invented the independent stacker, an automated parking system, the first one in Germany. And from there, our story started where we expanded to now over 80 countries, the United States being one of the strongest internationally. And we are really the factor for developers and also for architects, a tool to create space, create more revenue generating space, and also sometimes just to get the project off the ground.
But okay, so that you guys are an older company, you save space with parking. Give me a real life example of what that looks like, though.
Yeah. So for instance, we have projects here in Jersey City that are really, you have space constraints more than ever there, and especially with just being so dense and all, that we sometimes, or most of the times, we have just lots that are so condensed and small that they have to hit their parking count. So you have to have your 0.5, 7.5, whatever in parking ratio, and you just don't have the possibilities to get your parking with conventional parking. So that's where
what's the ratio? Explain that to me.
So the ratio between dwelling units and parking. So you have just 100 units. You need to have 0.5. Means you have to have 50 parking spots. And sometimes it's just not possible with the constraints of the site to get that. You cannot dig down, water table, bedrock, or you just want to generate more units so you have a better return of investment.
So is this like the stuff I see in the Bronx, or no? I think it was in Brooklyn a couple of years ago, where there's a little what would typically have been just a normal parking lot, and it's built up as a system, and the drivers or the guys that are taking the cars are taking them in, they're going up now and kind of filing them till the person needs their car back. Is this what we're talking about here?
Similar to that. That's the most simplest system group that we have. We call it independent stackers, where the person just drives the car in and just lift it up, and the next car comes in, is lifted and driven in again. We also have what we call puzzle parkers or fully automatic parking systems. So they're really, the ones from Mission Impossible where he throws himself on a pallet and it just turns around. Not that fancy, without the actor, but we definitely have these kinds of machines as well in New York City, where you can't build a ramp, you can't do anything really. You just have this box, and we build a system into it where the user just drives in and the machine does the rest. So, and these are really the densest system that we have. And in between, we have the puzzle parkers, which you typically don't see outside. But are the most used for multifamily because they're self-parking, self-attendant. You don't have to have an attendant for these systems, where the person just comes in. They have their key fob, which the system knows this is their parking space. That parking space is called up, and they park the car like in a conventional garage they would have maybe somewhere in the suburbs, and the system does the rest.
What's it like
These
pulling your car into an elevator? It takes it, and then who knows where it goes from there, and then you call it back, and it comes back to you.
No, it's if you think about it, you're seeing just fences really, but we call it puzzle parking because of these puzzles we had as a kid. Sorry, maybe we can't see this. So the ground floor shuffles left and right to make very simple movements, one bay at a time, to let the upper space come down. We actually have a system that are in the pit as well.
So it
That
takes
come
it up eventually to file the car.
Exactly. Yeah. So these systems are the ones that are loved the most and are used by developers for multi-parking for multifamily the most.
How much does a system like that cost? I mean, like when you're talking about a cost basis, how do you do a cost analysis and try to get an ROI from a typical system that you built?
So if we go through the three grades that we have, the dependent stacker is the simplest one. We're talking about roughly $12,000 per unit. So two spaces you get there. That's fully installed, shipped, everything. A turnkey product for you. If we talk about the puzzle parkers, depending on size, it's between 20 to 25,000. The bigger we get with the systems, the more parking spots we have, the less the overhead cost is. So we're getting lower. And with the fully automatic parking systems, since they are custom made, everything between 60,000 and up. So that's really, um, but they are, the Mercedes of everything. So
How has the demand been since you started the company? Have you been able to grow every year? And have you seen demand
yeah,
go up since you guys started?
more and more, especially with lot sizing getting smaller, restrictions from, especially here in New Jersey, with every municipality being different, having other requirements. But also you see them in cities like Jackson Hole, Wyoming. We're seeing it in Tennessee, in Nashville. We're seeing it also in Houston. We're seeing it all over the country. Developers are buying lots and they want to generate more revenue through it. And how can they do it? With more units. How can they do that? Parking is everybody's nuisance. If you talk about, you have to have it one way or another. Even though if cities say you don't have to have parking, everybody still has a car and has to get around. So you have to put them somewhere. And you also want to have the value of your property go up. If you don't have parking and it's an inconvenience for people to get to the next parking structure. So we're seeing it all over the country that the demand is getting bigger just because it's getting more complicated to build and more expensive to build.
And Chris, how long does it typically take to build one of your structures? Let's say I'm doing a multifamily project. When should I actually get in contact with you? I've got the plans, layouts. You should probably be part of that process. And how long does it take for you to install the?
So the earlier the possible, as you said, definitely. If you're in schematic design, definitely already talk with us just so we can already get you thinking in the right directions. And we always have to be involved with all of the trades as well, because we're touching all of the trades. We're touching all MEPs, sprinklers, all that fun stuff we have to talk about. So that is very, very early on. And then there's, of course, the phase until you start construction. We come in at the end of the construction. So everybody's really done. We know when your TCO is, and we just count back and know when we have to go into production, all of that. Installing, depending on the system, if you have a small projects with like 20 cars, can be within 2 weeks. If we have a big project with over 100 cars, we're talking about maybe 3 to 4 months installing. But we're doing that in the same time frame, so we finish up so you can get your TCO or your CO as well.
And then let's say I already own a multifamily and I'm thinking about retrofitting it. How does that process work? Because I want to value it. Like you said, I've got a building,
Yeah.
not a lot of parking. I've got an idea. What does that process look like?
We definitely have to have the ceiling height for that. So everything above 10 feet 10, we can fit sedan in there. Everything bigger, we can also fit SUVs, which is great. Um, the retrofitting is, of course, a bit more complicated because you're just dealing with the situation at hand.
But you could do an empty lot.
You can, of course, empty lot, definitely. We also have other solutions for that as well. I talked about independent stackers, puzzle parkers, and fully automatic, but since we're in this business for over 60 years, Germany has also come up where we manufacture with pallets that drive on the driveway. So you're just in front of your conventional parking spots, you're putting pallets, just move in the direction of the driveway and just move to the side so you can get your car out of the conventional parking space out. So you're adding not double or triple, but you're adding to your big demand of car parking spaces to that.
Do you have like exterior setups? And Gino, give me a minute on this because I have a few follow up questions on this. I have an idea, and I'll hear you in a second. Do you have exterior setups where that you don't need an operator?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But
Okay.
there's a system coming that can do that.
Okay. And the reason, so here's where my head is at. I have a condo in downtown. We're in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they just built a stadium down the road, like 2 blocks down the road. Parking's become a major issue. The condo that I have is one of the only spots down there that actually has a parking lot next to it. We have about 25 spots. It's pretty interesting. And so if you think about it, the building's built in 1900, okay? And there's high demand, but the residents are almost even like fighting over spots there. So if we could take the lot, which is exterior, there's nothing above it, and put in a parking system here where we could also have spots for the residents, but maybe go from 25 spots to 50 and then rent out those other spots on game days. What's the average payback for the system, in those types of scenarios? And then from there, once it starts to be profitable, it could go to, HOA maintenance of the building and maintaining it. It could be a very interesting proposition for the HOA. Good luck getting an HOA on board with anything, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on my proposal.
That thought is going through a lot of developers' heads, and that's why we have a new product called the Kvario. Our Klaus team.
All right, how do you spell Kvario here?
So K, small K, and then Vario. Germany loves their names. So this Kvario is a puzzle parker, but it's a lot more flexible than we had before. This Kvario can now go up to 5 levels high. So from the ground up, 5 levels high on slab. And what we just need is just cladding around it. So we call it the puzzle in the box. Pretty simple, and it does exactly what you want. You can have
this is just an open lot right now. It's just
open lot, and you just put the machine there. How many? We have to see how far it is. But again, then comes the residents get their key fobs or the remote control, and actually have one here. This remote control, so they can either or use it to get the car, and then you can have for game day. You can rent it out and have just the people punch in their number. I want parking space 205, and the parking space 205 comes up. So it's exactly your direction we're looking into as well, because it is just also so interesting how many vacant lots you have, which are just not.
Well, and literally on the opposite end of the block, they're putting a hotel in, and there's no parking for it for the hotel that's going up. So it's like it's just going to get worse. But this is the type of thing that could add value, right, to the property. Do the average payback on these things? Obviously, the revenue is hugely dependent, but is there is it a 3-year payback, a 5-year? Do you know typically what the payback is on your units?
Typically, I would say we see a 5-year payback. That's typically the turnaround we see nationally, and that still is very interesting for. Of course, depending on the system as well. If you're talking about the very simple stacker system, which is a lot cheaper, you're talking about a 3-year payback time. So, but the 5-year is what we've seen in average nationwide, definitely.
And does the Kvario have an operator, a human operator with it, or no?
No, you don't need one. You can have one where we call it the operator mode, but it's just self-parking.
And you can't get in without paying, correct? Like obviously, because if unless you're a resident with a thing, the rest of there's a pay.
You would have exactly. We would have to set something like that up, where we then work with local companies, where they you still have your ticketing machine and all of that. You can have it like.
So yeah, you either have your fob that lets you in. If not, you pay to get into your vehicle on the front end. Woo, Gino, I'm coming to the board with this one, man.
Do you think they could you'd actually get some traction from this from the board itself? Do you think that they would?
Well, that's a whole nother story, right? Who knows? Because it depends who's on the HOA at the time and things. But there is literally there is a need for this. You know exactly the spot where I'm talking and everything. It's just going to continue to get worse, and we're 2 blocks from the stadium and this other stuff where there's a need for parking. So
Yeah, if you look into Brooklyn and those cities as well, where you have also these venues.
that's the first
there.
time I've seen this. And
You
that's
have
why
a
it
lot
came
of
back to
you
me.
have a lot
Yeah.
of valet parking companies do exactly that, and we have a lot of companies coming us from airports as well, from these kind of locations where just people travel to park their car for a long time, where they use these simpler independent stackers where they can time themselves when the people come up to get the cars out again, and it's just you can double, triple, quadruple your revenue with the same area.
By offering long-term parking, you're saying?
Long-term parking, exactly. Lots of short-term parking we see in New York City as well.
Do you see as you're scanning, Jake, as you're scanning our portfolio, do you see that there's a need or we could use it in any of our properties? And I'm struggling to see it for us because we're more, I don't want to say we're in the city still, but it's more of a suburban and we still have adequate parking.
Suburban's more challenging. Well, not more challenging, but there's probably less of a need suburban. This is more dense city, yeah?
No, we also see in suburban actually. Here, Portchester, New York, we're just getting projects, and we have here in New Jersey, we go south
But
as
these are probably new
Plainsfield,
developments though, right?
new developments.
That's
Yes,
and that makes sense because think about it like this, if you're in Portchester, which we know well, or you're in more of a suburban area, but there's constraints with parking. This is when this solution makes a lot of sense, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, Chris, where can they get more information as we're talking on this? What's the website so people can go, hey, this is good solution for me.
our website is called us.multiparking.com or multiparkingusa.com. Either or you can use and get all the information you want. It is a German made, so there is a lot of information in there. So if you have anything, you can always call me up or my colleague Donna, who's the director of business development, and we can help you, consult you, and have a conversation like we do, just getting your brain started on what does it mean to have automated parking and what can you gain from it.
Who is this solution not for?
There isn't really, and not really there. We have constraints, I would say, with theaters, or we have high peak times.
Historical issues with is that
No,
what that is?
no. Historical buildings we've been building are fully automatic parking system as well. It's more that if you have everybody leaving at once, where you have, let's say, we have giant
Oh, bogs
stadium.
down the system, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you just you have hundreds of people coming. That's really the main issue we're dealing with. Um, but it's nothing that cannot be solved. With just smart planning, not having. We always say system. The system means for us many things. It can have 4 spaces, or it can have 50 spaces or 100 spaces. So if we just make the system smaller but the quantity the same, we could have more system running at the same time and getting people faster through. So
Chris, what's some of the pushback that you do get? Because people may say this is not for me. What are some of the things that, like even Jake had mentioned, HOA is not going to pass this.
mhm.
It just takes too much time. It's too expensive. This new technology. I don't want to use a fob. What are some of the things that people complain about? Some of the objections that they have.
Exactly what you just said, but also just there's a knowledge gap. So before I worked for Klaus, I'd have never heard about automated parking as well. It's just because it's just the niche of the niche, and but it's education. Education is the biggest part here. That's why we also go, or I have been going predominantly to board meetings as well to get these projects passed through the boards of the cities, because not only the board that most of the times just does not know. It's also the whole community around it that don't know. And it's a lot of, exactly these questions. What happens if there's no power? What happens if my car gets stuck? So explaining exactly these things to them, and
Reasonable questions.
exactly, definitely, and that's the questions we get every time. Is just giving them security that if yes your car gets stuck, there is a technician going to be out there and going to help you get out the car. We're just a phone call away, and most of the times it's not even the machine itself. It is the tenant maybe beforehand that made a mistake and didn't close the gate, for instance, and that's why you cannot get the car, and we can resolve it on the phone within 5 minutes.
That
So.
brings me to my next question: the infrastructure. Are you in all 50 states? Are you able to have technicians? How does the infrastructure look for the company?
So we have dominant markets. I would say the dominant markets are definitely California with San Francisco, San Diego, Sacramento, and Los Obispo. I hope I have said that wrong correctly. Then we have Florida, Miami. That's a big thing for us for stackers. And then up here, the Northeast with New Jersey, predominantly New York and Boston are the main markets, and that's where are concentrated the most, and I also have technicians. But we also have installations in Salt Lake City, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where we then work with local, most of the time elevator companies, because it is don't let it's not they can help. Let's say it's not similar because they got a point at me. Um, and there we didn't work with them because they just have 24/7 service and can help us very, very well. So that's where, but we're expanding. We're, as I said before, we are seeing it in Tennessee as well, Minnesota, in New Orleans. So you do have the big cities where it starts in the center and then it creeps out to the suburban areas as well.
How is AI, in your opinion, going to change or help your industry?
It's gonna help with the software technology side, definitely. Mechanically, it's all the same. It's chains and hydraulics and just electric motors moving the whole system. But AI will definitely be a part in recognizing license plates, and then with that, calling up, your parking spot already. Billing, for instance, for HOA will all be also be a part. All the things are being worked on, but you have to think about. Sometimes it's also very good to keep the system as simple as possible. As with cars, the more you have in there, the more it can break. So our machines are efficient, simple design. When something breaks, you know it already or immediately, and it's always a simple fix. And but AI will definitely develop it into a more even more automated system.
Before we go to the short answers, I want to get an idea from you of the smallest system you put in, what that looked like, and the biggest system you put in.
So the smallest system we've put in was actually, if we talk about our fully automatic parking system, was 4 spaces in Munich. I know of. They couldn't do a ramp. They couldn't have parking anywhere outside. So for a small multifamily housing, they had to have a fully automated parking system with 4 spaces. And the biggest fully automatic is in Australia with 170 cars. If we talk about our puzzle parkers, we over 500 cars is the biggest one we've done. Uh,
100 cars.
yeah,
How long does that take to
That's
build?
like a Frogger in my mind.
yeah,
It's just
yeah. So that, of course, a lot of coordination, but it takes about 7 months to install multiple teams. Um, but those are, the extravagant ones. We're
with the
more,
500 one. If you get
yeah.
like one hiccup in the system, can it bog the whole thing down?
Oh
Or
no, no, no. That one is, multiple small systems that we have. It's
okay,
not one big system.
doesn't
It's just
like yeah,
no.
yeah.
It's
It's like
then
holy
if
shit.
one, then it's just maybe there's 20 cars, but you can still get them out.
But as far as that, was that for a multifamily? Was that for an apartment complex? Or
That was for multifamily, but it was not in the United States. I have to say, it was in Saudi Arabia. They did a huge one. Here in the United States, the biggest one we have is 380 roughly, and that was a challenge, definitely. But yeah, we typically have either under 90 or over 100 to 200 spaces, but typically you have the hundreds are the ones that we typically see, and there it makes sense. Just not only you're condensing it, but also because you are cutting down time. We have our in Salt Lake City we have 142 spaces. We are puzzle parkers can also go multiple rows deep, so you're eliminating also driveways. And with that, they plan to go 3 levels down in Salt Lake City, a lot of excavation. With our system, they could get 142 cars on one level, on the ground level. They didn't have to dig down. They saved so much time in excavation, in labor cost, labor time. They had so much quicker turnaround. That was really an awesome job. That was cool. Yeah.
All right. Guys, let's take a quick time out here from our sponsor.
This episode of the Jake and Gino podcast is brought to you by Wheelbarrow Profits, the premier multifamily education community. Wheelbarrow Profits proof is in their results. Their members have closed over 86,000 units. That's over $5 billion in student deal volume. Are you serious about taking your real estate game to the next level? Do you have the confidence to take action? Schedule a call with the Wheelbarrow Profits team today and supercharge your real estate knowledge. Build lasting relationships through unparalleled networking opportunities. Obtain lasting knowledge on how to buy multifamily real estate with intensive training. Gain hands-on experience through their live events with like-minded individuals and industry professionals, all while experiencing the personal touch and family atmosphere that set them apart. Visit wheelbarrowprofits.com for more information.
All right, we are back. I got to know, were you guys the ones that designed the Carvana thing?
No, that was not us. That was not us. It was another German manufacturer, competitor of ours. They sadly went out of business. They had great engineering. We even though they were our competitors, their engineering was really great. Sadly, they went out of business a few years ago. But it's still great promoting for us, you know.
So
Everybody knows
is
it.
Carvana knocking on Klaus's door? Or
No.
okay, I'm sorry. Well, maybe they should be, right?
Chris, so but what made them go out of business? Was it just because there was no demand? Was it because something with the business
Because
model?
Klaus was eating their lunch, Gino.
I was before I came into this business, which was over now 6 years ago. What I've heard is just they was a bit over-engineered, a bit more complicated, and didn't get the jump into the century. That was more of it. We do have another German competitor, and I think in the United States, both of us are the most stable, definitely. The ones who want to do right by the industry, and the ones who want to set standards. Because our other competition is just from Asia, and they are an inferior product, and they like to cut corners, and that's nothing we want to do. We have our family names behind us, and we want to keep up the reputation.
So, Chris, I have a question about the technology. I love World War II, and I love the thing about German technology. The Tiger tanks, they were so well manufactured. But it sounds like your competitor, they tend to break down. They're costly to repair. It takes them a long time. Why is it that German companies are like that? Is it just ingrained in your culture that you have to build something incredible? You put love and care and tender into what you're building, and the Yankees, the Americans are building these Sherman tanks. They're building for every 30 Sherman tanks. You're building one Tiger, and we're just over, and our tanks are inferior, but we have so many more out there than you guys do. Is that what happened to your competitor? Is that part of the culture with Germany and their manufacturing?
It's definitely part of Germany's culture to build things that definitely last a long time, and it's something we put an eye on. That we buy something that has value and that is ingrained in German culture. Not that we're stingy or anything, but we want to buy something, and that has to hold for the next 20 years, 30 years. So that's how also we design
anybody in Germany making washing machines?
There are Miele.
I got to look into Miele then, because the junk we're getting right now for our apartments is not lasting. All right,
They're not German, baby. That's right.
Need some German washer and dryers over here.
Yeah. So those are really we look after. Also, just if it comes to maintenance and service, we are honest with our clients.
Well, the functional obsolescence is a real thing, and it frankly pisses people off, but American consumer just keeps doing it, right? Like I bought 8 years ago a dehumidifier for my crawl space, and it was an April Air or whatever. It was not cheap, right? It was one of the better brands,
Mhm.
and I guess it's like where they put the refrigerant. It's a closed system, and you can't access it. The tech told me. So as soon as it runs out, you got to buy a new one. So like these pricks, they can do better, but they refuse to, and now they want to get a reorder. And that's the kind of shit that pisses people off, and it's by intention. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely. And so since we're doing this in 60 years, we have systems out there that are 60 years old. We still in Munich, the first one is still operational that we built there. So, and also Klaus, before they started with mechanical parking.
Was this Klaus like Santa Claus?
No, no.
Okay, just making sure.
Different Klaus. And they made carousels for the Oktoberfest. So actually, when COVID hit, Oktoberfest was out, and then it started up again. They actually needed parts for Klaus carousels, and we built them for them. So we still manufacture the parts for our systems. Of course, then not everything will be in stock for systems that are 30 years old, but we manufacture them for them. It will take some time, but you still can be reliant that your system will work in 30 years and will have.
Not a lot of companies saying that these days, Gino.
No, not at all.
Trucks and SUVs. I know it sounded like you said SUVs, but you can fit like a basic F-150 into some of these spots. Or no?
Sadly, not. I'm working on Germany to do that. The problem is the length. It's not
Well,
the weight
guys,
or width.
what about the G Ride? Right, you guys got those G wagons over there. They're pretty tall. Is it the length though?
It's the length, exactly. Tall wise, we can go up to 7 feet 4 inches, 6 inches roughly. That's the length. We're missing a foot right now in length. To put up, your multifamily SUVs, so the big suburban LTs, Suburbans or the Escalade LT.
You can get it. Can you get a standard Escalade in one of these things?
Lengthwise, yes. Yeah, you can.
So no, yes, yes. Though overall, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the pickup trucks that are just too long.
They're too long.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a full size.
Before we got on the show, I was looking into you a little bit, and like this is interesting. But I've always had a pet. Like, so we do multifamily investing, right? We buy apartment buildings and we hold them. And I've always had a interest in parking lots. And I was like, man, I wonder if these guys do. Do you guys own any parking lots, or is this straight manufacturing?
It's just straight manufacturing.
Really. Damn it! Next time we got to get a parking lot guy on, Gina, because I have a stodgy, kind of thing where I just want to own parking lots here. You guys should do both, right? Do a little parking,
push your own definitely. Things. Yeah, definitely. Especially looking into the bigger cities, Miami, New York. You're just having a lot there and just putting stackers on it and just renting those out daily. It's just, if you look.
Well, multifamily was a tough nut to crack, but I think it's even more of a boys' club to get in the parking game, right? I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's where the money's at.
Also, you have to be careful with that in New York, definitely.
Yes.
Wait, you gonna run into Gino's cousin or what? What are you talking about?
Just have to be careful.
he's like it's sort of like being in the waste management. I think is what he's
similar.
So I guess I was correct in my statement then. Man, this is pretty cool. Gino, you got anything else before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I just want everyone to just stop and take a look. And if they're planning on building a new development, I think take a look at it, the solution. If you've got something in a denser location like a Miami or maybe a Charlotte or maybe Dallas, Texas, where it may make sense to put in a system like this. If you have an older system and maybe you want to retrofit it or get something new and upgrade it, there's so many different solutions for you out there. And jump on the phone with Chris and his team and see if it makes sense. It always comes down to the dollars and cents. But honestly, Jake, I think your solution, if I'm being completely...
Oh, dude, it's no brainer. You just got to get the right people on board.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I could absolutely see that because you got two cars parked like this. The parking lot's crazy. I could see you pulling in. Your car goes up, and I could...
Dude, you could leave the bottom lot and ramp up and build a steel structure to go up above it. Yeah. It may not be the prettiest thing, but...
Yeah, you could absolutely. And your car is safe. That's another thing. There's safety, there's security. We didn't talk about that aspect as well. But the aspect that you have in yours, Jake, your car ain't outside. Your car is safe, locked in as well. You get outside, it's not too hot. You're not going to feel, you're not. It's just an excellent solution for a lot of the cities, for a lot of those inner cities as well.
No, this was fun and very interesting. And the best way for folks to get a hold of you and the company if they want to inquire about a system.
Is via our contact form on the webpage, which is at multiparkingusa.com or us.multiparking.com. Yeah, the phone number is there as well to just call us, and we're there definitely to help you.
Gino, you got to wrap up on multi-parking here.
Multi-parking is something that's very interesting. I thought we were going to talk more about owning parking lots, but this is another adventure, another avenue. And to me, it always comes down to the solution. It comes down to the customer experience. It's another one of those things where maybe it's not an ROI factor where you're saying, well, this may not make money to me, but hey, if you can have your car in
I don't know. I think it is an ROI factor.
That
Chris,
itself,
ROI factor?
well, it
Chris
is
saying ROI factor. He's saying make that money, son.
All I'm saying is there's some extrapolation beyond just getting a return. Sometimes, if you can make the customer experience a lot better, if his car is safer, on top of the ROI that you're getting, there's that type of intrinsic value that you can't see in the spreadsheet. So it's just one of those things, especially if you're in a dense area or you're looking to make a deal work and parking doesn't work, and you can figure out to get this deal because no one else can see it. And you go to Chris and go, how can we make this deal work? I think it's one of the solutions that I don't think
that's a great point, because I think there's multiple, add-ons to our investing that is a difference maker into why you do the deal and why you don't. And this could definitely be a bolt-on that says, oh, this deal makes sense now because. So I completely agree.
And also to the point is, for us, it's always very important that the end user is very important, because the end user is the one who's touching the system first and is going to be going into your building with a good feeling or a bad feeling. So if we design it not great, that's going to be just a big issue. So if there's going to be issues with the parking spots are just going to be too tight, we'll tell you and say, this doesn't make sense. Let's just keep it, make it wider, make it more convenient, have the full height gates, which are standard with our systems, so you have the security. And just have a great experience by adding a remote to the whole system, so that people don't have to get out of the car every time. Just these small nuances are just also for you have the retention of people in your building, having then of course the ROI as well. So those they definitely play together, definitely.
Nice. All right, guys. As always, we believe in buying deals for the long term. Think in decades. Think like German engineering for the long term. I'm Jake. He is the G Daddy, and we make it happen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.